speaking about was a little bit about our sampradaya, which actually is a little bit important, so we know where we come from. So the idea is that we're coming from the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So our link is Lakshmipati Tirtha. Yeah. So thank you, Nityananda Prabhu. On YouTube, the sound is good, he's telling us. So I appreciate that. So I just turned on my own sound. I guess that doesn't mean I turn on the mic, off the mic, right? The mic should still be there. Okay, I can turn on the sound anyway. I just don't want it to make noise while we're talking. Yeah, I can turn it very low. Yeah, so there are two accounts. One is that Lakshmipati Tirtha, he was that mysterious sannyasi Brahmana who came on the door of Hadayodhya when Lord Nityananda was just 12 years old, and he asked to please have Lord Nityananda going with him on the pilgrimage, and he did that for 20 years. So Hadayodhya, similar to Dasarat, who became so shocked and sad that the sage Vishwamitra Muni, he came and took Lord Ram in the Rama Lila, in the Ramayana. That is a famous story. And Dasharat, he dies of separation shortly after. In the same way, Hadayodhya, he also died of separation, of the pain, intense pain of being separated from his dear son, Lord Nityananda. And the other account we have of Lakshmipati Tirtha is that he had a dream, and in that dream he saw Lord Baladev. He had been praying to Lord Baladev for many days to have his mercy, and in that way Lord Baladev came in a dream and said, I will now come before you, and I want you to make me your disciple and initiate me into your line as a Vaishnava. And part of the story actually says that Balaram, he whispered into the ear of Lakshmipati Tirtha a mantra. Which mantra he whispered? I think that is not actually mentioned, or if anybody knows that mantra, please tell me. But it seems similar to the story of how Lord Chaitanya became initiated. What was the name of the initiating master of Lord Chaitanya? Because Lord Chaitanya, as we know, he became initiated into the... Oh, the sound is still bad. Oh, really? Okay, we have to try and do something about that. Because I got to hear that the sound now is good. Is the sound still bad? What can we do? If the sound is still bad, then please tell me. I turned up my own volume here. I don't know if that has anything to say at all. Yeah, I could try and reinstall the headset. Yeah, I can try and do that. Okay, let's see what our WhatsApp is saying. On YouTube, it's good. Okay. And then we got a counter message that the sound is not so good, and that we got after the message that it was good. This was from another user. Okay, so anyway, the main thing is that we have, the Lord is appearing in the Sampradaya. Sampradaya Vihinaya mantras tu nishpalamata, because there is a verse in Padma Purana which says that you have to receive the mantras in the Sampradaya. That means a chain of disciplic succession. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he connected also to the Sampradaya by taking initiation from Ishwar Puri, who was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Yeah, thank you. So in that way, we can understand. Let's see. I have to just turn off this sound. Yeah. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he then took sannyas initiation from, I think it was Keshava Bharati. And it said also similar, that was the point I wanted to make, because how did Lord Nityananda act in a dream? He said that Lord Nityananda actually, he transformed into Lord Balaram in a dream, or Lakshmi Pati Tirtha. And in that dream he said, I will now appear. So Lakshmi Pati Tirtha, he didn't know who Nityananda was, but he took him to be Balaram. And then Balaram or Nityananda is then whispering a mantra into the ear of Lakshmi Pati Tirtha. So in that way, it was into the right ear, and we know that is what is happening at the initiation, that the spiritual master is speaking the initiation mantra into the right ear of his disciple, and thus the disciple is now initiated. Is one of the formalities of Diksha initiation. So in that way, from the story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he got his sannyasa initiation, he was also whispering into the ear of Keshava Bharati, actually a mantra. And some scholars they say that this means that actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he initiated Keshava Bharati first into his line, which is the Chaitanya line, and then Keshava Bharati, he was then qualified to initiate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a sannyas. So this is how the Lord operates in his leelas. We must always remember that the Lord is doing uncommon activities. He's not like the ordinary living beings. Just like Lord Krishna, he could hold the Govardhan Giri hill, Giri Varadari, he's called the holder of the Govardhan hill, on his little, his left hand little finger for 7 days. So in the same way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can do very much uncommon things. He took sannyas when he was 24. It doesn't mean that we should, give up our marriage and become renounced, lead a family life at 24 years old. In the same way, we cannot copy the activities of Lord Nityananda. It's said that in his pastimes, he also liked to jump out in the Yamuna or Ganga and wrestle with the crocodiles. Can we do that? No. That's not the point. We should just enjoy the leelas of the Lord. Instead of going to see action movies, we can see the action movies of Baladev and Nityananda in our hearts. A few of these stories are so far that I actually would not like to say them in public. You have to read them. Especially Chaitanya Bhagavat has many of these stories. They should be relished as they are, just like Prabhupada gave out the book, Bhagavad Gita as it is. Lord Nityananda has to be accepted and relished as he is. He cannot fit into our narrow framework of reality. He really cannot. He's outside of that. Just like Krishna is also outside, our materialistic, conception. If you have such a conception, we may not have if you have joined the Hare Krishna movement. So Lord Nityananda, he was an Avaduta Brahmachari for 12 years. He was living with his father, and then for 20 years he traveled at pilgrimage. How much is 12 plus 20? It is 32. So at year 32, then he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was around 1506. You can take plus 4 years or not, according to if you accept the birth date of Lord Nityananda has been 1474 or 1478, as the scriptures are differing with 4 years here. Yeah. So then actually he met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you've heard, we call him Nityananda Prabhu, and then Chaitanya we call him Mahaprabhu. Although the big brother is actually Lord Nityananda, because Lord Nityananda he's 12 years older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At their meeting, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was 20 years old and Lord Nityananda was 32. So why is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Mahaprabhu? Because it's been predicted in the scriptures that the Lord will appear in the Kali Yuga, the incarnation of Krishna, and the exact title is there, Mahaprabhu. It said, for example, in Mahabharata, Suvarna Hema, Mahaprabhu will appear, and he will have the golden complexion. Yeah, it will be the golden avatar, as a part of Vishnu Sahasranam, it's said that the Lord will appear as a renunciate sannyasi. And that is also found in other Puranas, when there is talked about the incarnations of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he sometimes appears as a renunciate. That's a clear reference to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah. So similarly, as we had the story last Tuesday about Advaita Acharya, and Advaita Acharya, he had heard that Lord Chaitanya had started his Leela. Then he wanted to meet him. And also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he sensed that now Advaita Acharya was going to meet him for the first time. So he wanted to see him, but Advaita Acharya, he wanted also to hide, just to test if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could find him. And in that way prove his superhuman existence, since he is the Lord himself. He would be able to find out where his devotee is hiding. So that means that we cannot hide from the Lord, if even the expansion of the Lord cannot hide from the Lord. We learned last time that Advaita Acharya is the expansion of Krishna in the form of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva combined. And we learned that there was a specific tattva to that, a little bit difficult, but nevertheless factual. And that was that there is a dual way in which Advaita Acharya and Sadashiva and Mahavishnu is connected. And that was in the matter of the theory of causes. So pardon me for the philosophy, but just to mention that the part of the Lord which is you can say ingredient-wise or material-wise, that is exemplified by Sadashiva. And the part of the Lord which is the efficient cause, or which you can say gives the order, which is the actual doer, that is Mahavishnu. So the reason for that is that Mahavishnu is glancing on the material energy, and in that way he's impregnating the material energy and setting it into motion. By his glance, he's sending the time energy into the material energy. And that time unit is called Kala. And personified Kala is Lord Shiva. That's why, the wife of Lord Shiva is called Kali. Yeah? With long E. So not the same as Kali Yuga, because that is a short E. And that means, quarrel and strife. But Kali with long E, it means simply, the time, but it is in a feminine form. And of course, that's also destructive, because Kala Asmi, Lokakshaya Krit Pravrida, the Krishna says, time I am, and I'm destroying everything. One of the main functions of time is destruction. So, Lord Shiva is in charge of the Tamagun, which is a destructive energy. So there is no wonder why he's called Kali. So in that way, he's the ingredient cause in that way, that actually the one who wants it to happen, that is Mahavishnu. If Mahavishnu wouldn't send his glance then into the material world, then Shiva and as Kali and his wife, Shiva as Kala and his wife as Kali would never be there. So in that way, Sadashiva is the ingredient cause, and Mahavishnu is the actual efficient cause, or the nimitta, the actual cause, and upadana, or the secondary cause, which is used to shape things by the shaper. The shaper is Mahavishnu, and the one who is used to shape is Lord Shiva, in that way. So both of these are in Advaita Acharya. So Advaita Acharya, he's making Lord Chaitanya come by calling him, as we learned last Tuesday. And Lord Nityananda is playing another role, philosophically speaking, because he's the Baladev Shakti, or the Shakti of existence or assistance. So whatever Leela Krishna is doing in the spiritual world, then who is manifesting all the paraphernalia, starting with Lord Krishna's flute, Lord Krishna's clothes, etc. That is Baladev, who is manifesting all of that. And in the same way, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, who is manifesting all the things for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is helping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to do his lila, that's Lord Nityananda. In that way, Lord Nityananda is very, very important, and he's always the right side man of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why Gaura Nitai is always chanted in the Hare Krishna movement. And we never have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu alone on the altar. He is always there with Nitai. Yeah. And especially in the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because as you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming as a renunciate sannyas. So in other words, he doesn't have a female on his side. But lo and behold, the Shakti of Srimad Radharani has come as Gadadhar. That's actually an expansion of Srimad Radharani right there, as another brahmachari. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Leela as Chaitanya, he was only associating after his renunciation at 20 years old. The last 24 years, he renounced at 24, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In his last 24 years, he was spending only with his male associates. So actually Lord Chaitanya, he took sannyas not so long after meeting Lord Nityananda. A few years after he took sannyas. But then he asked actually Lord Nityananda to not longer be avaduta. Actually he said that Lord Nityananda was some kind of sannyas, but other sources are saying it was not actually a sannyas. He was more like avaduta kind of brahmachari. But he was definitely renounced. But he was asked by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give up that renounced lifestyle in order to become a grihastha. Yes, Lord Nityananda, he got married. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him actually that your wives, your eternal wives or consorts have already appeared in Eka Chakra. That's the birthplace of Nityananda. So he was asked, please go back there. So I just need to push the button on my headphones so I can hear myself. Otherwise, it's completely blocked of the sound. Now I can feel a little better. Yeah. So in that way, as the perfect servant, as we can read on the poster here, he just served whatever order Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him as the perfect eternal assistant of Krishna. Balaram is always serving Lord Krishna. In the same way, Lord Nityananda is always serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's also what happened when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Lord Nityananda to go out and preach. Lord Nityananda, he tried to preach to Jagat and Madai, which I mentioned a little earlier, the two drunken bad people who threw the broken pots on Nityananda. Nityananda was bleeding, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to protect him with his chakra. And Jagat and Madai was scared for their life, so they surrendered. First to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if you surrender to me, it's not enough, you have to surrender to Lord Nityananda himself and beg him for forgiveness. And then when they did that, they became accepted as Vaishnavas, and they became Shuddha, pure Vaishnavas. So in the same way, even though we may not be qualified, we may have, even terrible characteristics. We also cannot get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly, although he is the mercy avatar. Now Mahavadanyaya. But he's also working in that way that we first has to take shelter of his pure devotee, Lord Nityananda. And from Lord Nityananda, if he accepts us, if we are humble enough to bow down to him and take his lotus feet, then we can also become purified as devotees. Guru Krishna Prasadapai Bhakti Lata Beach. It's only by the mercy of the Guru that we are getting the mercy, together with the mercy of Krishna. So who is the person who is sending out the devotees to preach? That is Krishna who is sending out the Guru to preach. So in other words, Krishna is sending out Balaram to save the conditioned souls. So the conditioned souls are saved in the material world, right? There's no conditioned souls in the spiritual world. So Krishna, some or other, he's sending Lord Balaram down here. And Balaram is picking us all up as the Guru. And especially in the Kali Yuga, he comes as Lord Nityananda, and he picks us up. But actually, he is the Mula Guru Tattva. In all the Gurus, you have actually Lord Nityananda. So any Guru should be an expansion of Lord Nityananda, any Vaishnava Guru. Because the whole concept of Guru is coming from Lord Baladev. And he's doing that as a service to Lord Krishna. So in the same way, Lord Nityananda is being guru as a service to Lord Chaitanya. So in that way, Lord Nityananda is a little bit similar to Advaita Acharya, that he's used by the Lord to execute the Lord's mission. So the actual mastermind and eternal Ishvara controller, that is the Mahaprabhu Chaitanya. But he is also becoming so absorbed in his lila that he needs the other devotees to preach for him, actually. The last few years of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, he actually didn't preach to anybody any longer. He was just in his internal ecstasy in Jagannath Puri. But Nityananda Prabhu, he was still preaching. And he continued making thousands and thousands of disciples who could spread the branches of the Chaitanya tree, as is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So our spread of Gaudiya Vaishnavism now in the West, or Krishna Bhakti, that is going on by the power, by the Shakti of Lord Nityananda. Yeah. Krishna Shakti Vina, Krishna Shakti Vina, Naitare Pravartana. Without Krishna Shakti, you can't spread this Sankirtan movement. It's said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So by the way, when Lord Nityananda Prabhu was married, so he was told by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, go back to Ekachakra and marry. And that was happening by the help of the great Udharana Duta. Udharana Duta, he was a surrendered disciple of Lord Nityananda. He was a great cook and also a great businessman. He was a favorite cook actually of the Lord, like that. He arranged a wonderful marriage for Lord Nityananda. The story goes that Udanadatta, he was rich. He donated something like, because he was a great businessman, he donated something like 10,000 rupees. Well, it was 10,000 rupees at that time, I guess. So that must be an enormous amount of money, because 10,000 rupees still is a lot of money. You can get a lot for 10,000 rupees still in India. So at that time it probably was at least 10 times more. So needless to say, Nityananda Prabhu had a wonderful, great marriage. He married 2 wives, the 2 daughters of Suryadasa and Sarakela Devi. That was Vasudha Mata and Janava Devi. Yeah, Janava Devi is the most famous, because after Lord Nityananda's disappearance, which we also will get to, how Lord Nityananda disappeared, then actually Janava Devi, she became the main Siksha Guru in Gaudiya Desh, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava time. She became the main Siksha Guru for some time, and among her disciples were her son, Virachandra, one of the few sons she had that survived actually. She had 7 sons before that, and they all died one by one. And she had a daughter, which was Ganga. Apparently, she was an expansion of Ganga Devi herself. So Abhiram Thakur, he bowed down to Ganga Devi and made nice prayers to her. He also bowed down to Virachandra, and none of them died. And the reason I'm saying that, because the 7 first sons of Janava and Nityananda, they died one by one as Abhiram Thakur was bowing down to them. That was a very special Shakti. Abhiram Thakur, one of the great devotees in the Chaitanya Leela, he had. Well, there must be some great backstory to that, why they died. And of course we know they just went back to the spiritual world by this action. But Abhiram Thakur, he was happy that the 2 last children of Janava Devi and Nityananda, they didn't die when he bowed down to them. And that was Virachandra, which became the great disciple of Janava Devi, and Ganga, which was an expansion of Ganga Devi. Yeah. So that way, there is something called the Nityananda Vamsha. There is a family of Lord Nityananda's descendants still today. Prabhupada actually, he says that sometimes they are claiming, the greatness out of the family line. And he said that is actually not bona fide. One's greatness should be from one's own practice of devotional service, not from your family tree. And that's one of the reasons it's explained why Lord Krishna himself, he eradicated his whole family line. Krishna had this Maushala Lila. There was this club which was symbolizing the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. It was a curse which happened because one of Krishna's sons, Samba, he was dressing out as a woman, a young woman, and the children or young men, they came to the sages there, to the rishis, and they were asking, which kind of child will this lady have? But he had just dressed out like a child. It was Samba, the son of Krishna. They had a prank, on the rishis, and one should, make fun of the great brahmanas. At least not at that time, because they could curse one. So they did. So the rishis said that this offspring of yours will be the source of the destruction of the other dynasty. And so they took away the cloth, which covered the belly. They had put something into some cloth or something. So it looked like Samba was a girl which was pregnant. But now it was not, anything else there but a great Maushala or iron club. And so they went to Ugrasena, the king of Dwarka at that time, and they asked, what should we do? We have gotten a curse here. This is supposed to be the source of the destruction of our whole dynasty. So Ugrasena arranged that club was now becoming grinded to iron powder, because with powder, how can you kill anybody, right? So this powder they threw out in the nearby river. But, all this powder, it was just washed up on the shore. And it entered into the bamboos. And the bamboos became so strong like iron sticks because of this powder. And in that way, later, they actually wanted to do a great fire sacrifice. Actually, for a few days, they wanted to do a great, yagya to try and counteract all these bad, omens of this event that had happened, that they were, making the sages angry and receiving a curse. So they wanted to do a great yaga to kind of, pacify, the gods. But before they went to Prabhasa Kshetra, and they made this great sacrificial, area, putting up, altar for having, the fire sacrifice and so on. Many thousands of Yadavas, actually all the Yadavas were there, all the other dynasty, they went from Dwarka to that place. Except the wife, many wives, they stayed home, and the children stayed home, but otherwise all the great, warriors were mainly, Kshatriyas. So in that way, Kshatriyas also, they unfortunately sometimes they take some alcohol, so they wanted to drink something. So they drank some wine made of the putrefied rice. So don't try this at home. Because it was such a strong beverage they were drinking, so they became completely intoxicated even before they started the yagya. And so they started, bickering and pilfering over small, offenses. People, when they are drunk, they easily can become angry at each other and start fighting because they're having lost their intelligence because of the effects of the alcohol. That's why, Vaishnavas don't drink. So anyway, they were drinking, and then, one was falling down, and then he picked up, this bamboo straw, which was this iron powder having washed up on the nearby shore. They were actually there on that shore. So he picked up one of these bamboo sticks, which now had the properties of an iron rod, which was sharp. And so that he actually, started fighting with that. And then the others, they picked up that mood of fighting with these iron bamboo sticks, and they started actually, killing each other in that way. And the whole Yadu dynasty was actually massacred by each other. They actually managed to eradicate the whole Yadu dynasty. But in the Bhagavatam itself, it explained that this is just, a lila. Like that. So these are, things that's happening. So anyway, in the Chaitanya Lila, it's much more, much more peaceful Lila, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not coming as a Kshatriya. Like Lord Krishna was playing a Kshatriya from the time he was in the Mathura and in Dwarka. Then Krishna was like a Kshatriya. He was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, fighting sometimes also. But before that, he was a coward boy. But in Chaitanya Lila, then Lord is coming as a Brahmana. And Brahmanas, we know, they don't do physical fights. So it's said that in the previous incarnations, Lord Krishna is coming as the avatar. Paritranaya sadhanam vinashayat shadushkritam. He's just killing all the demons physically. But the Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat, it said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, instead of killing the physical body, he's killing the demon in the heart. Because in the Kali Yuga, the demon and the devotee is in the same heart. In the previous age, in the Dwapara Yuga, the demon and the devotee is in the same family. So Kaurava and Yadu and dynasties, they were practically the same families. They were just mixed up in the same families. And there were demons there and there were devotees there. In the previous age, before that, that was the Treta Yuga, then the demons and the devotees, they are in the same countries. And then in the Satya Yuga, then actually the whole planet Earth, or the Bhuloka, is just peaceful. Everybody's just devotees there, and the demons there are some faraway planets. So at that age, the demons and the devotees are on different planets. But now in Kali Yuga, as we said, the demon and devotee is in the same heart. So that's why they need to be killed by the great compassion of Lord Nityananda. Yes. So that's why we chant, before we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasudi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Just as the great song we were singing, Doya Koro Nityananda, we ask for the mercy of Lord Nityananda, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Doya Koro More, Musama Patita Prabhu. And then we say Doya Koro Nityananda. We say first we ask for the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And then the next verse is saying that we cannot get the mercy actually of Lord Chaitanya without getting the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So that's why we ask for the mercy of Lord Nityananda first. And then we have to, and then the song is going on to say we need to have the mercy of Lord Advaita Acharya first. Because he actually called Lord Chaitanya to come, like this. And later is appearing Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. So in that way we need the mercy of all the devotees. Because the song ends, the name of the song is Shri Krishna Chaitanya Koro Doya More. Yeah. And the song ends by the author of that song, he asks for the mercy of Ramachandra Sangha. He wants to have the Sangha or association with Ramachandra, which was his devotee friend. So in the same way we need to have devotee friends. We cannot just get the mercy of the Guru, we need to get along with all the common devotees. So in other words, Lord Chaitanya's and Nityananda's mercy is spread to all the devotees, and we're getting their mercy through all the devotees. In that way. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was showing in common pastimes, and also similarly Nityananda Prabhu, he was also showing in common pastimes. Sometimes he took up the mood of Lord Balaram. Just like Lord Balaram is said to sometimes drink the Varuni drink, alkalized beverage, apparently coming from the sap of trees. Sometimes on the Balaram appearance, the devotees try to make this, they call it Varuni, and it's made with yogurt and honey, like this. I guess this original Varuni was made with the kind of honey you get from coming out of the trees. Don't ask me how it works. I don't know the tattva about that. But similarly, sometimes Nityananda Prabhu, he was in the mood of Balaram and acting like he was drunk. Yeah. But we shouldn't think that we can imitate Lord Nityananda's pastimes, because he's called Avadut, and Avadut is always beyond the ordinary rules of society. Unfortunately, this is sometimes imitated, and that brings great destruction to the culture of our religion actually. But Lord Nityananda is showing the very great way, because he was an avadut, he was doing very uncommon things, something acting as a drunkard even. But later on, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he instructed him to actually get married and settle down, and then Lord Nityananda, he did that. Just to show that he wasn't actually, like a normal intoxicated person. He was just intoxicated by the love of Godhead. Yes, that's the explanation. His intoxication was not by, the alcohol. Like we heard this story how the whole Yadava dynasty was killing each other because of being, intoxicated by alcohol. So alcohol, intoxication is destructive, but the kind of intoxication Lord Nityananda had was constructive. Yeah, he was, making so many devotees. So, and these devotees, they constructed temples, and they made other devotees in that way. The whole lineage of Gaudiya Vaishnava was spreading all over the world, and it's continued spreading up to this day, and now it's spreading in the West by that same force of Nityananda Prabhu. So as it was said here in the poster, he's a Sankirtan preacher. So we should think that whenever we try to preach, you can say, I don't have any ability to preach, I'm completely poor in consciousness, but whenever we try to do, then Nityananda Prabhu, he may fill us up with his special Shakti. Krishna's Shakti, Nai Yare Tara Pravachana. It said that you cannot preach without having the Krishna Shakti. And as we have learned, we cannot actually have the mercy of Krishna directly. We're getting it through the Guru, which is Krishna's expansion as Baladev, which is in the Kali Yuga, Lord Nityananda. So in other words, without the Shakti of Lord Nityananda, we cannot preach. But with the Shakti of Lord Nityananda, we can preach. Because it's not us who are actually preaching, because it's all going on by the order of the Lord. Just like I said in the Tattva about Advaita Acharya, that he's personifying both the Nimitta and the Upadana Karana. The original cause is called the Nimitta, and that's actually the order giver. And it's just like a policeman. Why is the policeman going out catching the criminal? Please tell me. It is because he's given the order by the judge, or the police department. You can say the head of the police. Is the head of the police doing anything? No, he's just sitting in the office, right? He knows, he has all the knowledge, he has all the power. He just ordered policeman go out and take the criminal. So in the same way, if we are going to preach or spread, this movement, then we are doing that by the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu. In the same way as a policeman actually doesn't have any license to do that, or where does he get his power to do what to do? He's using his Shakti to catch the criminals. In the same way, we are getting Shakti from Krishna and Baladev in the form of Chaitanya and Nityananda to you can say catch the conditioned souls and bring them back to Krishna. Otherwise we don't have any power in ourselves. Just like you can have anybody, they can just put on a police uniform and claim that now I'm the police. But will it work? Will they have actually the power? No. You will see that somebody who try to do that, what is happening? They're just being, called in as crazy people. So in the same way, if we're not connected to a guru, then our attempts at preaching the Hare Krishna mantra, our attempts at spreading this knowledge, if we're not connected, to the source, some or other. I'm not saying you have to, be Diksha initiated. Siksha is more than good enough, actually. But you need to have some connection with another devotee. If you don't have that, then our so-called practice or preaching will be more or less madness, actually. It will not really, be that, strong. But if it's some or other can be humble and just take shelter of the devotee who is representing Lord Nityananda, then we will also be strong. Lord Nityananda is the savior of the fallen people. So he has the ability also to save us. Actually, this song, which I was referring to, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Doya Koromore, that song is actually saying that Lord Nityananda is the savior of the most fallen, and the author of the song says, nobody is more fallen than me. So I have the first claim of being saved by Lord Nityananda. So let us pray to Lord Nityananda in that mood today, that he may save us, because who are more fallen than ourselves? So we will also get to the disappearance of Lord Nityananda. As I mentioned in the beginning, he had a great brother called Bankaraya, and that name is constructed of two parts. Banka is a reference to Chaitanya, not to Chaitanya. Well, actually, yeah, it is. Banka and Raya together is actually Gauranga or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Banka means Krishna and Raya means Radharani. Banka is when the Lord is bending, like three bangi, and Raya means Srimati Radharani. So the Acharyas explained. Yeah, Ishan Paul, thank you for your greetings. Jai Nitai Gaur Haribol. So in that way, Lord Nityananda, he was already having Gauranga as his brother, Bankaraya. He was very, very, very fond of his brother. So one time, the brother was also very powerful. He was out in the fields doing work together with other farmers there. And Bankaraya just told the other workers that you can just go home and take lunch. I will pick out the rest of the weeds. So of course this has deeper significance, because that's exactly what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing. He's helping us getting rid of the weeds, or the anarthas. He says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm a great gardener, gardening. And what is that gardening? To take away all the unwanted plants which are obstructing the Bhakti Lata beach, or the creeper, or devotional service, or prema. So that's the part of Anartha Nivritti. We're supposed to take away the weeds, the unwanted qualities that may even grow side by side, but are trying to grow as devotees. And I said that, for example, is pride, or a sense of that we're better than others just because we're starting this process. These things has to be uprooted. So Bankaraya, he just continued taking up the weeds by himself, and it was so effective that he cleared the whole land in no time. And it get to be noticed by the others that actually the whole land was now cleaned of weeds, which the big group of people wouldn't be able to do themselves. So they came back. But Bankaraya, he didn't want to have any publicity about his greatness, so he hid behind the weeds. Bankaraya just hid himself, and they couldn't find him. And actually, it's explained that in that way, Bankaraya, he actually disappeared. And a voice came from the sky and said, "You will not see me again in the same form you have seen me before." And then he told that in a few days, on the coming Ekadashi, you will find a piece of wood floating in the Yamuna, a great log, wooden log. So Nityananda Prabhu, he took the clue, and on the coming Ekadashi, Nityananda Prabhu, he picked up that big, nice log of wood, and he shaped it into the form of Bankaraya. And he installed the murti, the deity, of his dear brother, and that murti is still there in Ekachakra, because it was built a temple, of course, around the deity. And yesterday at the Nityananda Trayodashi, there was a great big festival held at this temple, as it is every year, because actually after some years, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he left this world around 1540 or 1544, and it's explained that he was in Ekachakra, and he just went into that deity of his dear brother. Yes. And guess how Lord Chaitanya Prabhu disappeared? It said that also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also disappeared into the deity in Jagannath Puri. Not the Jagannath deity, but it was in a smaller temple there, which I forgot the name of. If somebody of you remember, you can tell me. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So in that way, we have the example, from Gaura and Nitai. Gaura, which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Nitai, which is Nityananda Prabhu. They are showing that deity worship is not to be abandoned by us. Although we learn that, Harinam Sankirtan is the highest level where you're just chanting, chant and dance in ecstasy. But deity worship is part of the culture. So it's explained later on. Actually, the creator of Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's the main book from the Gaudiya Vaishnava, or the book which is hailed the most. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he never met Lord Nityananda or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the physical flesh. But of course he heard all about it, and he was inspired to write the book. He got a calling in his dream actually to go to Vrindavan. And guess who was calling him in the dream? Anybody can guess? Yes, you're right. It was Lord Nityananda who appeared in the dream of Krishnadas Kavami, and he told him, "Go to Vrindavan." He just ordered him. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was very old. I think he was almost 90 years old. He just went up, and it said just immediately he just went he just simply went straight to Vrindavan. And the story doesn't tell, did he pack his bag? Did he take breakfast first? Did he take a shower? It doesn't tell. He just went. He just ran to Vrindavan, just like Prabhupada Saraswati has a very nice book called the Vrindavan Mahimna, I think it's called, The Glories of Vrindavan. And there he also has a great song which says, run to Vrindavan, run to Vrindavan. It's in the same way. Nityananda Prabhu, he ordered Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to just go to Vrindavan, and indeed he went there immediately. And there he met Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He met the remaining devotees who had been part of the Chaitanya Lila, and he got the notebooks of I think the Chaitanya Mangala was already written, maybe, yeah. That is another name of the Chaitanya Bhagavat also. And there is another Chaitanya Mangala which its name is Chaitanya Mangala, as far as I know. So we have a couple of books were probably already produced, and he took notes from there, and also from one of the other notebooks by Murari Gupta had a notebook, and Swarup Damodar Goswami had some notes, not just a few notes, because he spent Swarup Damodar Goswami spent the last 16 years I guess together with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri. So out from all these informations and talking with the local people, devotees, he composed the Chaitanya Charitamrita on the direct order of Lord Nityananda. Yes. So we have a great deal of debt to pay Lord Nityananda for giving us this whole movement of Harinam Sankirtan. So thank you so much. And you can say Chaitanya and Nityananda, they're the perfect couple, because they're actually representing the great mercy from two different ways even. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in one way quite culturally conservative. He was like a strict sannyasi. And Nityananda Prabhu is known to be very culturally liberal, because he had the mood of Avaduta, which means he's not so strict actually. But of course, sometimes we need a strictness also, and sometimes we need, the liberalism. Thank you, Hare Krishna. So both of them we are getting then in the couple of Gaura Nitai. So we don't worship, Lord Nityananda alone. We worship him together with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we also don't worship or follow Nityananda. Nimai alone. Nimai is another name for Chaitanya. Sometimes we say Jai Nimai, Jai Nitai. So Nimai we don't follow alone, and Nityananda or Nitai we don't follow alone. We follow both Gaur Nitai. And then it's perfect. Then we get the best from the both worlds. Yeah. So, so is there any comments or questions in the chat box? Let's look here on Zoom. It's quite peaceful also. Yeah, so we will just stop there. I know you have your duties to do. You have your rounds to chant. I also have my rounds to chant. I need to read more today in the scriptures. It's good to have some program. That is what we have been given by Gaura Nitai, to have a daily program of sadhana bhakti. And by the practice of sadhana bhakti, eventually we will get to understand the mood of Nityananda Prabhu. So in that way, Nityananda Prabhu, he can also appear in our dream and instruct us eventually. And in that way we can understand, where we are supposed to go. Yeah. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.